Tonight on the Northwestern News Report, underclassmen are back on campus. Are campus COVID cases going up?
Plus, Northwestern rehires 97% of laid-off dining workers. What lies ahead for them?
Plus, students in perfect harmony.
Those stories and more tonight on the Northwestern News Report.
It's your news
right now. Good evening and welcome to the Northwestern News Report. I'm Vicki Chung.
And I'm Megan Leibowitz. We begin tonight with a look at new pandemic measures and how students are adjusting. NNN's Jason Harward has the story.
With more than 2,000 new students on and around campus, the key to weekly testing is speed. The answer is self-administered tests, either here at the Jacobs Center or at one of 5 pickup and drop-off testing sites across campus.
The biggest reason for the change this quarter was really about kind of volume. It's going to get more people through the Jacobs Center and through testing every day.
The number of positive cases on campus falling from 51 from January 8th to 14th to 24 last week.
Obviously, with students coming back to campus after the holiday, we expect to see even higher numbers, frankly.
Evanston moving from Tier 3 to Tier 2 mitigation, reflecting a lower community spread. The change could lead administration to rethink the yellow campus activity level, which currently limits the amount of in-person opportunities.
If we can get down to Tier 1, I think those would be the external factors that we'd be watching in conjunction with what's going on campus.
For first years now on campus, the full college experience feeling real.
Meeting people is a lot easier and really feeling like a part of the school or feeling a certain sense of belonging. I think that makes a big difference.
With dorm common areas open, opportunities for in-person activities may increase.
Trying to find that balance, right? Again, I think looking for opportunities to add in-person activity and components and interaction, but doing that kind of in that controlled environment.
For students, the message is clear. Stay positive, test negative. Jason Harward, Northwestern News Network.
From when to where, Evanstonians have questions about the vaccine. In a newsletter from last Sunday, Evanston Mayor Stephen Haggerty provided some answers. As of Monday, Illinois is in Phase 1B, and 15,000 to 20,000 Evanstonians are eligible to be vaccinated. And with a decrease in the number of weekly vaccine doses allocated to the city of Evanston, Mayor Haggerty says those who fill out the Evanston COVID vaccination contact form should be patient and await notification via email for their priority group. With COVID cases on the rise and international travel restrictions in place, why are some international students choosing to return to campus? NNN's Hannah Jiang tells us more.
Visa stamps and a ton of winter clothes are what international students usually bring to campus. But this year, they are bringing face masks and courage to travel abroad, while COVID cases hit 99 million worldwide.
When I thought about this whole process, I was kind of scared because, there's a lot of things you need to prepare.
Drew had to travel to Singapore, apply for a visa there, and stay for at least 2 weeks before entering the U.S. But this did not stop him.
It would be more complicated and rough than usual, but it's okay. And I think we can handle this.
Of 647 international students who responded to a December survey asking their winter plans, 50% said they will be on campus at least once a week, according to a campus spokesperson.
I might be a little homesick, but I think that's the right decision for me to do.
While some international students are excited to be in the central time zone, not everyone is back at school.
All my friends is in China, so I feel lonely just in US because no family and no friends. So everyone is in China, why don't I go back?
Ling said unlike freshmen, she knew what campus and Lake Michigan looked like, so she'd rather go home and celebrate the Lunar New Year with her family. Hannah Jiang, Northwestern News Network.
Thanks, Hannah.
One way to make this quarter feel a little more normal? Students still have access to one of the most quintessential parts of the college experience, the library. NNN's Claire Foltz studies up on the new safety measures.
As much of campus remains shuttered, Students are having a change in heart, now wanting a change in scenery. They're turning to the libraries for a safe place to study.
It was definitely like a very quiet environment where like you could get a lot of work done. It was like a very productive time for me.
The libraries are even quieter than usual. Despite 249 available study spaces in the library, NU Libraries says that in the fall, only an average of 46 spots were being reserved a day.
When I went, there weren't very many other people there, but there were definitely a lot of open spaces where a lot more students could have been there.
But don't bet on having the periodicals to yourself just yet. The NU Library's Director of Marketing and Communications, Claire Rockefort, says they're anticipating more traffic as students adjust to life in Evanston.
I wouldn't be surprised to see more people as people get comfortable being on campus.
But the faculty of the university library is ready to turn the page and start a new chapter.
We're certainly not fearing it. We're looking forward to it. We are all here to help, and our website's a great place to start.
Start studying up on all of the new study spots on campus. Claire Foltz, Northwestern News Network.
Students can sign up for a library reservation on Northwestern's library website.
Last week, College Board announced that they will no longer offer SAT subject tests in the U.S. This change is only the latest in a string of shakeups that impact college applicants. I took a closer look at what this means for high school students. In a world where the first few days on a college campus changed from looking like this to this, college applicants can't play by the old book.
This year, we won't have a college trip. We will have a virtual experience.
Cassandra Salgado is the director of Northwestern Academy, a program helping students at Chicago Public Schools navigate applying to college.
The inequalities is something that existed before COVID. What COVID has done, though, is really highlighted and kind of exposed them.
COVID is testing education systems across the country, from technical issues.
We were Uber delivering hotspots and laptops to students.
To financial constraints.
A lot of students who normally, I think, would consider college as an option are unable due to, the impacts of COVID, such as having to take on a job to help support their family.
Northwestern, like many schools, made the ACT and SAT optional.
The word optional is horrible for students.
Experts say students stress about the decision whether to take the tests, if it's even possible.
With tests being optional, it's still an option for some students.
And with testing, remote learning, and financial trouble, the uncertainty is changing where students are looking.
Why go somewhere super, super far when there's a chance that I could just be at home?
Working for high marks in a year marked by uncertainty. College Board wrote on their website that they will provide 2 more chances for international students to take the tests because the tests are used internationally for a wider variety of purposes.
Coming up, many of Northwestern's hourly employees are coming back. But do they feel safe?
Plus, an NU alum changing the game in Illinois politics. Welcome back. On January 6th, pro-Trump rioters stormed the Capitol, and NN's Vanessa Kelson talks with a professor and former ambassador about the insurrection.
Former U.S. Ambassador to Georgia, Ian Kelly, says at first he thought the breach of the Capitol was photoshopped.
I've seen it in Belgrade. I've seen it in Tbilisi, where I last served. But it just, it's not supposed to happen in America.
Kelly says the violence was incited.
What happened on January 6th was not an aberration, but in many ways the natural culmination of the kind of hateful and violent rhetoric that that Trump was using.
And here's Northwestern Professor of Public Policy and Communication, Eric Nisbet's take.
Really, the insurrection itself was not the problem. President Trump and his authoritarian practices and spread of misinformation was not the problem. Those are the symptoms, I think, of deeper problems that our democracy is struggling with.
Nisbet says the inability to accept election results is dangerous to democracy.
We can't have democracy without people adhering and supporting democratic values and democratic policies.
America isn't alone. Nisbet says there's a growing distrust of democracy throughout the world.
What we need to actually cure the problems actually is an aggressive policies.
I mean, we'll have to, I think, approach the whole idea of criticizing the lack of democratic governance in certain countries with a lot more humility.
Vanessa Kelson, Northwestern News Network.
Thanks, Vanessa. Turning now to state government. From Wildcat baseball to House Speaker, Northwestern alum Emmanuel Chris Welch makes history as the first Black Speaker of the Illinois House. NNN's Talia Coleman has the story.
After nearly 4 decades leading the Illinois House of Representatives, former Speaker Michael Madigan passed the gavel to Democratic Representative Emmanuel Chris Welch this month.
And I'll never forget that conversation the rest of my life. It's the phone call that changed my life.
The Illinois Legislative Black Caucus backed Welch's candidacy. Caucus Chairman Cambium Cam Buckner says he knew Representative Welch would make a great speaker.
He's always been a real convener, a real connector, and a person that knows how to build coalitions.
While Speaker Welch is a public supporter of Madigan's, the new speaker says he intends to bring his own character and personal style to his leadership.
And I just have to continue to be myself and put my own stamp on this position.
Welch looks fondly on his time at Northwestern, especially playing for NU baseball and spending time in the Black House.
If I can be of assistance in lending my voice to helping the university navigate through issues that are important in our society right now, I'd be helpful with that.
Welch says the gravity of his position didn't fully sink in until Martin Luther King Jr. Day, celebrated just 6 days after Welch took office.
My son said, "Daddy, when was Illinois founded?" And I said, 1818. And he said, "That was over 200 years ago, Dad." I said, "Yeah, it took us 200 years.
From Sheridan Road to Springfield. Talia Kalman, Northwestern News Network.
As Speaker Welch kicks off his historic leadership, he says that tackling the pandemic and Illinois' $4 billion budget deficit will be among his top priorities.
As students return to school, Northwestern's hourly employees are returning too. But some students say simply rehiring these vital workers isn't enough. NNN's Joey Safchik has more.
For 20 years, Elizabeth Arreguin was a housekeeper at Northwestern.
I have received the best love and support from the students, and I've always tried to give it my all.
That was until March 2020, when she was laid off unexpectedly along with hundreds of NU service employees because of the pandemic.
I was very depressed.
But now, Arreguin is back at work. Compass Group, an NU service provider, recalling 97% of dining employees laid off during the pandemic.
We know that it's not entirely safe working conditions.
As you can see, the Northwestern dining experience looks pretty different this year. But one thing students say stays the same is the meaningful interactions they have with dining workers day after day.
And the least we can do is stand with them.
During the layoffs, students organizing for labor rights or SOLAR raising more than $90,000 to help campus workers pay for groceries and rent.
They've helped us a lot with our needs.
Compass Group declined an on-camera interview, but a spokesperson says NU Dining is evaluating the safety of workers every day.
Thank you.
Compass did not answer my question about whether workers will receive paid leave if they need to self-isolate.
I want the university to see that we are humans and to recognize that we have needs and to help us have a safety net if we were to get sick.
Bringing workers back, just the first step in cleaning up a pandemic mess. Joey Safchik, Northwestern News Network.
There are nearly 2,400 students on meal plans this quarter. SOLAR activists encourage students to pick up food from the dining halls to limit exposure.
This winter, there's a new anti-racism seminar on campus. NNN's Simone Scott has the story.
NU's anti-racism seminar begins this week, using an intergroup dialogue model pioneered at fellow Big Ten school, University of Michigan. The seminar aims to create a space for students from all backgrounds to discuss racism and bias. Q. Fogarty, the Assistant Director for the Office of Social Justice Education, says, quote, "This seminar is important because it allows students to explore their own racial identities and experiences and to understand race and racism in the context of themselves and society."
Personally, my family, for, since the first person who arrived in this country in the mid 1500s until, emancipation, I think along the way, everyone owned slaves. I didn't choose that, but I'm still benefiting from that.
The seminar encourages students to take an active role in social justice efforts and to be actively anti-racist.
I feel previously like if someone had said something in front of me, yes, I would hope that I would intervene. But I think that I need to broaden my understanding of ways that I can be anti-racist.
Coordinators also hope students will feel empowered to encourage others to recognize bias and join anti-racism efforts in the NU community. Simone Scott, Northwestern News Network.
There are a few spots reserved for students of color who are interested in joining the Monday night seminars. Interested students should apply by the 29th through the Office of Social Justice Education's website.
Earlier this month, Northwestern Community Not Cops, meeting with President Morton Shapiro for the first time. NUCNC has been working since June to demand that NU divest from police and invest in Black students.
Students calling for answers about text messages found from members of NIPAS, a police response system deployed to NUCNC protests, and why admin didn't check in on students after the protests. NUCNC organizers asking Shapiro about his email to the Northwestern community following protesters gathering outside his house.
You wrote, "Events in recent days seem to indicate an intent by organizers to escalate matters and to provoke NUPD into retaliation." You also said, "If you, as a member of the Northwestern community, violate rules and laws, I am making it abundantly clear that you will be held accountable. Yes or no, do you understand how this instigated brutality from NIPAS?"
No.
Shapiro agrees to meet with NUCNC members going forward.
Up next, do you want to build a snowman? Now's your chance. Stick around.
Evanston, a winter wonderland. Let's check in with Andrew Rowan for a weather update.
Northwestern students went to bed in Evanston and woke up in a snow globe. Maintenance crews spent most of the day clearing campus from the sloppy, slippery mess.
When snow melts and it mixes with dirt, it's like super blushy, so I think that surprised me.
It's Elaine Leo's first snowfall.
I like the way snow sits on like the trees.
And although she doesn't have to walk to classes, it didn't stop her and her friends from getting out of the dorm and into the snow.
Yeah. It's just super windy and like cold. Nice. Not used to it.
The snow was heavy, perfect for making snow people.
Part of the snow melted.
The last time Deering Library looked out on more than 6 inches of snow was 2 years ago. Chicago has only seen 15.1 inches of snow this year, with a third of that number coming from today's storm. Between the snow people social distancing and wearing masks, sledding, and Senator Sanders looking warmer than ever, today's storm showed there's snow place like Evanston. Andrew Rowan, Northwestern News Network.
Thanks, Andrew. Stay warm out there.
With colder temperatures and shorter days, winter often poses challenges for mental health. And this year with COVID-19 and social distancing precautions, there might be even more difficulties. NNN's Gabrielle Coriati has the story.
Mental health, universally affected by COVID-19.
The average person has been showing pretty massive increases, at least early on in the pandemic, in the general distress.
Now, COVID and winter could have negative effects on mental health.
As the length of the day gets shorter, the average person does experience some decline in mood.
For many students, spending all day in their dorm can lead to feelings of isolation and fatigue. But there are ways to help your mental health while staying warm and COVID safe.
My freshman winter hit me like a brick. Something that has come to really help me with my mental health generally, including this winter, is a solid routine.
With classes online, forming a routine can be hard, but even the smallest steps can help better your day.
I begin the day with putting in my contacts because then I probably won't fall asleep for the next hour or two. And that's like it, like I'm up.
The Muslim Mental Health Initiative is one group on campus working to bring students together to focus on mental well-being.
There wasn't anyone who would approach mental health from like a faith-based aspect. And we really, like for a lot of students, that is a big part of like their identity and who they are. And obviously, so it affects their space mentally.
A timely reminder that you are not alone. Gabrielle Coriati, Northwestern News Network.
If you're struggling with your mental health, reach out to Northwestern's Counseling and Psychological Services.
A Northwestern sophomore is working to bring comfort to those with Alzheimer's and dementia. NNN's Michaela Denault tells us more.
Victoria de Conceição was in high school when she started noticing her grandmother missing daily rituals. And when her grandmother was found wandering a park, Victoria knew she had to be evaluated.
I started reading all these blogs, different things people have done. Coloring books came up a lot. Some people said essential oils, puzzles. So I just went on Amazon and I bought some of those things for my grandma.
Based on her research, these activities challenge the brain and promote focus.
I was honestly just sitting at my desk one night after doing my homework, and I kind of thought, wait, it would be really cool if I could make custom coloring pages for my grandma, because she loves talking about stories from when she grew up in Mexico on the ranch.
So she created the Alzheimer's Brain Box subscription service, items that foster connection and raise money for Alzheimer's research and awareness.
He started using the coloring books because I guess it made him feel closer to his wife.
Spreading her message, selling out at an Alzheimer's walk featured by AARP.
Shows not only the client, but their relatives, okay, look, you have a voice in the younger generation and we're not going to stop fighting for you.
Advocating for her grandmother, she sends her this message.
Yeah, abuelita, gracias por todo, te quiero mucho.
Personalizing coloring books, getting a glimpse of the lives of incredible people of the older generation. Michaela Denault, Northwestern News Network.
Thanks, Michaela. But it's not just undergrad students who are working to support the community. An organization founded by NU grad students is bringing light to Evanston during dark times. Here's NNN's Katrina Pham.
As the pandemic has run rampant across the country for almost a year, homeless people are some of the hardest hit.
Being able to see these people still struggling while COVID hits on top of all that, one, it makes you realize, puts things into perspective a little more.
SHINE, short for Spreading Hope in Neighborhoods Everywhere, is a nonprofit group founded by grad students Eric Eshu and Samuel Landman. The goal? Collecting donations and distributing them to members of the homeless community.
We make the bags based on the situation, and then we get people like friends, family to help us make the bags, because putting everything together, making it look nice isn't easy. And then we all go together and we give them to the homeless people. So my dad, for example, had 20 buckets in his car at one point.
However, like many other groups during the pandemic, they were unable to support the community the same way they used to.
It's really hard. Not only because we didn't want to get too close to them, we also didn't want them getting too close to us.
Despite this setback, SHINE is now back in business.
2 weeks ago, actually, where we collected blankets and jackets. And we went through Lincoln Square giving out blankets and jackets.
SHINE is hoping to grow brighter in the coming months. Katrina Pham, Northwestern News Network.
Thanks, Katrina. Coming up, an ACA Awesome Welcome to Campus.
Northwestern acapella can't stop the beat, even during COVID-19. NNN's Lauren Huntner tunes in to this story.
But I can't change the weather.
In a school year that's anything but perfect.
The fall is usually so much about like not only new members, but like, you know, everybody returning to campus.
Northwestern's a cappella groups are finding their pitch.
We usually do our like big audition push for all the groups in the fall.
Freshmen are getting a warm welcome from the a cappella community.
As soon as you enter the Zoom room, even though it's virtual, they're like, yay, we got another one.
Virtual auditions for most of Northwestern's groups, striking an unusual chord. But perspective and current members finding their tune.
I knew it was going to be super weird, and it was a little weird, but also I've never auditioned for a cappella not during a pandemic.
Over 100 students are auditioning for a spot in one of 13 groups. At the end of the process, students hope to find their new musical home.
I think I'll be happy with whatever the outcome is.
Groups say the virtual auditions had unexpected challenges.
Every time we asked someone to sing in their falsetto, like the higher they would go, Zoom would just like cut out immediately.
Even so, new students are ready to jam.
I kind of want this to be something I have for all 4 years of my college experience.
Finding a song when the world needs more music. Lauren Huttner, Northwestern News Network.
Thanks, Lauren. Individual groups are still working on their performance plans for this year.
That's all the time we have for tonight. I'm Megan Leibowitz.
And I'm Vicky Chung. From all of us here at NNN, good night, and thanks for watching.